Heartwarming revelation, Black CEO displaced in VIP for white passenger. Incredible crew change exposes systemic prejudice. Jared Thompson, a 42-year-old black CEO, sat alone in the plush leather seat of his private jet, his heart racing with anticipation. The skyline of Chicago sprawled beneath him like a triumph of dreams realized. Growing up in a tough neighborhood, he clutched the values of hard work and family that shaped him into the leader he had become. He was ready to pitch a groundbreaking initiative meant to uplift disadvantaged communities and change lives. Yet, as he began to reflect on the journey ahead, happiness morphed into a sense of unease. Suddenly, the atmosphere shifted. The flight crew approached, hesitant expressions painting their faces. "Sir, we're really sorry, but you'll need to vacate this seat. A VIP passenger has just arrived." The words fell like a heavy stone in his gut. Disbelief replaced excitement as Jared processed the shock and humiliation of being asked to move for a wealthy white passenger. Every lesson his mother taught him about pride and dignity surged to the forefront. He didn't want to make a scene, but this was more than just a seat change, it was a stark reminder of the prejudice that still stained society. Caught in a storm of emotions, Jared's heart pounded. He could hear the bustling city below, each building a monument to the dreams he had fought so hard to achieve. "This isn't right," he asserted, his voice steady but simmering with anger. The crew looked visibly uncomfortable, but there was no backing down now. He locked eyes with the arriving passenger, an affluent man in an impeccably tailored suit, and felt the weight of history leaning against him. It was a moment that stretched time, where the complexities of social progress unfolded. He could see the disbelief in the eyes of those around him, and the sworn silence of complicity weighed heavy. The atmosphere buzzed with tension. "You're saying my worth is less because of the color of my skin?" Jared challenged, forcing everyone to confront their biases. Gasps echoed from nearby passengers, eyes wide with shock. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." The whispers spread quickly among the passengers, friends, and supporters who rallied behind Jared's confrontation. The tension filled the air, vibrating with the collective heartbeats of those witnessing this moment unfold. They couldn't help but feel the impact radiating from Jared, drawing on shared experiences of injustice and resilience. As news of the incident broke, Jared's mind raced to thoughts of his estranged father. Memories flooded back, steeped in conversations about dignity and the ongoing struggle for equality. That longing for reconciliation mixed with his fight against injustice simmered in his chest. Would he find the strength to forgive and heal? Just when hope began to bloom, he received unexpected support from a white colleague who witnessed the scene. This ally stepped forward, recognizing the need for change, refusing to dismiss Jared's experience. The world outside his window blurred as the jet began to move. He knew this was just the beginning of a journey for his career and his community. The decision before him was massive: could he reclaim his narrative in the wake of social injustice? With a heart full of determination, Jared found himself standing not just for himself, but for everyone who had ever faced the weight of discrimination. The brewing storm within him marked the start of something powerful. The jet sliced through the clouds like a knife, leaving behind the cacophony of Chicago. Yet, in Jared's mind, the city remained, vibrant and full of life. Each turn of the plane, each shudder of turbulence, mirrored his own inner conflict. What would this day truly mean for him? It wasn't just about a pitch or an initiative anymore, it was about standing up against a system that had denied him and countless others their rightful place. As the flight reached cruising altitude, he could feel the weight of the moment pressing down on him like a heavy cloak. His thoughts turned again to his father. Memories flickered: his father teaching him how to ride a bike, the way his face lit up with pride. Yet, Lurking deeper were the fights, the arguments, the unresolved emotions of a man trapped between love and disappointment. How could he reconcile that relationship when so much of what he felt echoed the very pain he was fighting against today? "Sir," a flight attendant's soft voice pierced through his reflections. "Would you like something to drink?" There was an underlying sincerity in her tone. It seemed she was measuring her words carefully, as if knowing that a single misstep could provoke the raw emotion simmering just beneath Jared's surface. He shook his head, unable to find his voice. The looming VIP incident began to simmer in the back of his mind, a constant reminder of the prejudice that seemed to lurk at every corner. Just then, the glow of the screen caught his eye. Breaking news flashed across. The media had picked up on the incident. Words like discrimination and institutional racism flickered before him, drawing attention to the massive chasm of injustice he had faced. His heart raced. This wasn't just about Jared anymore. The narrative had expanded into a platform where his voice could resonate. But with that came an equally heavy burden. What did that mean for him personally? A few minutes later, a white passenger sat down beside him. Jared glanced over, meeting the eyes of a middle-aged man who had clearly followed the news. The man opened his mouth to speak, hesitation permeating the air. "I just wanted to say what happened wasn't right," he said, the sincerity in his tone breaking through the noise of the jet engines. "I admire your courage. I'm sorry I didn't do anything at the time." Jared felt a mix of gratitude and frustration. It was heartening to receive support, but why had it taken so long for someone to speak up? "Why didn't you challenge it?" Jared asked, his voice edged with a challenge. "For every moment of silence, someone loses their voice." "I know," the man replied, his gaze steady. "I let my privilege overshadow my responsibility. I should be stood up. It's not just about the choices we make, but the ones we let be made for us." Jared pondered those words, feeling the weight of the shared understanding settle between them. Perhaps this moment offered more than a confrontation, it opened a door to dialogue and collaboration. He could feel the first sprigs of hope sprouting within him, ready to bloom into something greater. But just as he began to contemplate what he might ignite next, the plane hit turbulence, jolting everyone awake. The unexpected shake sent a shiver down his spine, not just from the physical turbulence but from the deep realization that his fight was only beginning. Would he be ready for what lay ahead? As the airplane steadied, Jared couldn't shake the sense of inevitability, an approaching reckoning. With adversities to confront and allies yet to discover, he squinted out at the horizon. What would be the cost of transformation? And then, as the horizon unfolded before him, an even deeper question emerged: how far was he willing to go to change the narrative? The flight smoothed out, and Jared sat in silence, wrestling with his thoughts. The conversation lingered in his mind, the man's words echoing with a strange kind of clarity. They were both trapped in a world that didn't easily change, yet here they were, drawn together in this moment. He dared to look at the stranger again. "What's your name?" he asked, breaking the stillness that had settled between them. "Tom," the man replied, offering a tentative smile. "And you?" "Jared." "It's good to meet you, Jared. I guess we're bound by this turbulence and by circumstance." Jared nodded, appreciating the awkward humor in the situation. "Yeah, you could say that." Tom continued, "I was thinking, if this whole situation gets more attention, how can we help? I mean, it's not enough for us to just talk about it. What's the next step?" Jared blinked, caught off guard. The question hung in the air, heavy with possibility. What did he want? What could he achieve? Something tensed inside him, a flicker of determination. "I want to create awareness," he said slowly. "I want others to understand that when one person is mistreated, we all feel the impact. It's a collective wound." Tom leaned in, his interest igniting. "What if we organized something? A meeting, or a forum? Something where people can come together even just to share their experiences." Jared felt a glimmer of excitement. A forum could work. Share stories, listen to each other. Start building bridges. The thought sent a rush through him, as if the idea of collaboration was a lifeline. The conversation swept him up, and they exchanged ideas, energized by the potential change they could foster together. It felt exhilarating to think they could inspire others, heal, and make ripples far beyond this flight. But just as the possibilities expanded, the pilot's voice resonated through the cabin, cutting through the buzz. "Ladies and gentlemen, we will be landing in about 30 minutes. Please prepare for descent." The words hung in the air like a spell breaking. Jared took a deep breath. "I guess reality is about to hit." "Not if you can help it," Tom urged, seriousness creeping back. "Think about how you want to frame this. How you want your voice to matter. You have more power than you realize." The plane dipped gently, and a pang of reality settled in Jared's chest. He knew Tom was right. His fight wasn't just about him anymore, it was about creating a legacy, starting a conversation that echoed in the hearts of many. As they prepared to land, the view below shifted from clouds to the outlines of a sprawling city. Chicago, the city that had shaped him and yet felt so distant now. What awaited him on solid ground? Would his vulnerability unleash the tide he hoped for? Would people rally together, creating sparks rather than merely watching the flames? He felt so many questions swirling. But then there was also excitement, and electric current surging through him. The plane touched down, jarring him slightly, and he took another breath. It was time. He could feel it in his bones. This was just the beginning. As the fasten seatbelt sign flickered off, a fresh weight settled on him, the reality of his next steps. Stepping into the unknown can feel so daunting, but in that uncertainty lay the seeds of transformation. What awaited him when he took his first step off the plane? Would he find support or resistance? Would he ignite courage in others or falter under expectation? The questions buzzed in his mind as they taxied toward the terminal, and Jared's heart raced. The real journey was just about to start. Jared could feel the energy shift the moment the plane doors opened. The hum of the airport enveloped him, louder and more chaotic than he'd remembered, but oddly invigorating. His instincts told him to linger, to savor the final moment of safety before facing the world outside, but as other passengers streamed past him, he found he couldn't back down. "Come on, Jared," he murmured to himself, stepping into the throng of people hustling to their destinations. With each footfall, he could feel the weight of Tom's words pushing him forward, a comforting reminder that he wasn't alone in what he hoped to accomplish. The bustling terminal was filled with a cacophony of voices and footsteps. The scent of coffee lingered in the air as travel-weary families reunited, people rushed for last-minute flights, and strangers brushed past him, absorbed in their own lives. Jared felt like an outsider, suddenly small within the vastness of the airport. He stopped for a moment, his heart racing. Was this how change began? Did it start with a feeling of disconnection before igniting into something bigger? Gritting his teeth, he pulled out his phone, opening Tom's message containing the idea for the forum. His pulse quickened as he pictured a room full of people, sharing their stories, their struggles, their hopes. It sent shivers down his spine. He needed to find Tom. A burst of determination surged through him. Jared hurried through the crowd, his eyes scanning for the man whose enthusiasm had ignited the spark within him. He could do this, he could lead this charge. As he rounded a corner, he spotted Tom sitting on a bench, scrolling through his phone. Relief washed over Jared, and he approached, his heart pounding with excitement. "Tom." Tom looked up and smiled, his expression instantly brightening. "Jared. You too. I was thinking, this is it, right? The beginning of something." "I can't stop thinking about it," Jared confessed, the words tumbling out. "People need to talk. We need to share. But how do we get things rolling? Where do we even begin? What if we start small?" Tom suggested, leaning forward eagerly. "Let us find a local community center. Something accessible, where people can feel safe enough to open up." "Yeah, that's a great idea." Jared felt his heartbeat quicken again, this time with excitement. As they brainstormed, possibilities unfolded before them, a sense of urgency sparking between their ideas. What if they could turn this forum into a platform for real change? But behind the enthusiasm, doubt as insidious as smoke crept in at the edges of his mind. What if no one showed up? What if they shared their stories but nothing changed? Was he brave enough to lead this movement? The questions flickered ominously. Hey, Tom interrupted his spiral of thoughts. If we don't take a chance, we'll never know. We owe it to ourselves and others. You feel it, don't you? The need for this? Jared nodded, swallowing his doubts. I do. I really do. Then let us do this. We can make the calls, start reaching out to local organizations, maybe even businesses willing to sponsor a few workshops. We generate the interest, and the voices will come. Jared closed his eyes for a moment, imagining the ripple effect they could create. But his breath caught at the weight of the task ahead. Could it truly start here, in this airport, with just two people willing to make some noise? Tom was watching him, a beacon of optimism. What's the worst that could happen? Jared opened his eyes, determination filtering through the clouds of doubt. I suppose we could fail. But what if we succeed? As they exchanged notes on potential venues and ideas, the noise of the airport faded away, leaving only their hopeful plans ringing in their ears. They were drafting a blueprint for change, a ripple poised to become a wave. Where would this lead? Would they find the courage to stand tall together amidst adversity, or would the weight of the world crush their fragile dreams? The emotions surged through Jared, and as they walked toward the exit together, his heart raced with fear and hope. It was all unfolding before him, an unstoppable journey, the next chapter waiting to be written. Jared and Tom stepped into the bright afternoon light outside the terminal. The world felt alive, every color more vibrant than he remembered. It was exhilarating and overwhelming all at once. Tom was sketching out the logistics on his phone while Jared tried to harness the energy swirling around them. Okay, first things first, Tom said, his voice rising with excitement. Let us find a community center to start making our calls. We need to lock in a venue and date, something to anchor us. Right, Jared nodded, feeling energized by their purpose. But what about getting the word out? We'll need to connect with people who need this as much as we do. Social media. Tom exclaimed, his eyes shining. We can create a page, an event. I can share it in the local groups. People are looking for spaces to talk and heal. Trust me. Jared felt a rush of hope. It was all falling into place, but beneath that hope, a familiar fear lurked. What if they put their hearts into this, only to be met with silence? What if no one cared? Let us focus on the first step, Tom said, as if sensing Jared's uncertainty. We can do this. Let us make a list of potential venues. Maybe cafes, libraries, places where people feel comfortable. He pulled out a small notebook, scribbling down ideas. Jared watched, captivated. This was Tom's magic, the way he transformed anxiety into action. Jared? Tom's voice broke through his thoughts. You still with me? Yeah, I'm here, he smiled sheepishly. Just lost in the idea. Perfect. Just think about it, what if people show up? What if they feel heard for the first time? Tom paused. I want that. I want them to feel safe. Jared felt a warmth spreading in his chest. It wasn't just about them anymore. This was personal. It was the chance to build something real, a community, a sanctuary. They could be the architects of change. As they walked along the bustling street toward a local community center, they exchanged ideas, building on each other's thoughts. Each suggestion turned into possibility, and they reveled in the excitement that knitted them closer together. They were dreamers, but they were also doers. Look at this place, Tom said, pointing out a quaint cafe with a welcoming atmosphere. We could even start here. People love coffee, and they love to talk over it. True, Jared agreed, heart racing at the potential. Let us ask if they're open to hosting us for a few hours a week. They crossed the street and entered the cafe, the bell above the door chiming cheerily. The scent of freshly brewed coffee wrapped around them. Tom wandered to the counter, chatting with the barista, while Jared scanned the cozy space, his mind racing with ideas. Jared. Tom's voice sliced through his thoughts. The owner is interested, but he wants us to show him we have enough interest. What do you think? Can we do it? Yes. The word came out more confidently than he felt. We can make flyers, post online. We'll create a buzz. As they sat down to brainstorm further, Jared's excitement soared, but in the back of his mind was still a flicker of doubt. What if this cafe couldn't accommodate a large group? What if no one showed up for the launch? Let us let ourselves dream big, Tom said, catching his gaze. Remember, every movement starts somewhere small. We can grow. We will grow. Jared nodded, feeling the ripple of determination pass between them. They could build something greater. The foundation had been laid out in a simple cafe, but who knew where this path would lead? As they left the cafe, Jared's heart raced with fresh possibilities. But just as they stepped outside, Jared's phone buzzed in his pocket. He pulled it out to see a message that shattered his focus. A notification flashed on the screen, a news alert about another community event planned for the same night they were aiming for. Jared's voice trailed off. This could change everything. What if they weren't the only ones trying to foster change? And what if, in their eagerness, they had just stepped into a crowded pool of voices? Jared stared at his phone, the words blurring into one another. His heart sank as he read the news alert again. Another event, scheduled for the same night they wanted to launch their initiative. A feeling of urgency welled inside him, blending with anxiety. Do you think it'll affect us? Tom asked, sensing Jared's shift. I mean, is there really room for two events like this? I don't know, Jared replied, wrestling with the uncertainty. What if everyone decides to go to that one instead? They might not even know we exist. Tom frowned, his brow furrowing, but then he straightened up, determination flashing in his eyes. Hold on. Just because there's another event doesn't mean we can't make ours work. Maybe it's a sign we're onto something big. Or maybe it's just a sign that we're out of our depth, Jared said, his voice faltering slightly. Tom shook his head. No, hear me out. People want to connect. They want to be heard. If we focus on the conversations we'll create, they'll feel our energy. If they want genuine connection, they'll come. Jared blinked up at the sky, clouds drifting lazily like thoughts in his mind. Could it really be that simple? Okay, he said, taking a deep breath. What if we focus on promoting our event more? Let's hit social media harder. We have to show that this isn't just another gathering. We want a genuine dialogue. You got it. Tom replied, excitement lighting his face again. We can turn this into an opportunity. We'll present it as an alternative, something fresh, not just another blog gathering. The spark reignited within Jared, hope dancing alongside his fear. They both pulled out their phones, fingers tapping quickly. Ideas flowed between them, each one building excitement like layers of a beautiful cake. Let us highlight our personal stories, Jared suggested. We can share why we care about this. People connect with real experiences. Exactly. Tom exclaimed. We should create videos of us talking. Raw and real. Let them see who we are. Okay, I'll do one while we're at it, Jared said. He found a quiet corner outside the cafe, feeling the warmth of the sun fill his face. It'll be good to show that our initiative is about open hearts and listening ears. Tom nodded, readying his phone to capture the moment. Say whatever comes to your mind. Pour your soul into it. With nerves tangling in his stomach, Jared took a deep breath and began speaking, remembering the faces he wanted to reach. We believe in a space where people can come together to share, to heal. I've been in places where silence is too loud. I want to change that. He poured out his heart, feeling words become tangible. With every sentence, the doubt that clouded his mind began to lift. Tom captured it all, nodding along, his face a mirror of encouragement. Once done, Jared saw something spark in Tom's eyes. Man, that was incredible. Let us edit this, add some music, and we'll have 4 powerful clips, one for each story we've got to share. 4. Jared asked, taken aback. Yup. Your story, my story, and then we invite others to join in. We can start a challenge and ask people to share their experiences, what community means to them. I love that, Jared said, feeling a burst of energy. It's not just about us. It's about everyone who struggles to be heard. As they shared a hopeful smile, Jared felt a flicker of doubt surge back. Was it still too risky? Could they really build interest around 2 competing events? Before he could voice his concern, Tom's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, a frown knitting his brow. Then he looked back at Jared. Oh, there's a twist. The other event's organizers are already reaching out for collaboration. Jared's heart raced. Are they? What does that mean for us? I guess we're part of something bigger now, Tom replied, leaning closer. It's time to decide how much we're willing to share. Are we ready to stand up? With tension thrumming in the air, Jared felt the weight of the decision looming. Would they align their goals with a different group, or would they forge their own path? That question hung between them, amplifying the uncertainty. Whatever they did next could change everything. But were they ready for what lay ahead? Jared's mind raced, thoughts colliding like cars at an intersection. Collaboration. It felt like an opportunity, yet his gut twisted at the idea of losing their vision in the process. What if they want to take over? He asked, fear creeping into his voice. Tom shrugged, trying to suppress the uneasy tension. We need to control this narrative too. Let us hear them out first, maybe we can carve a space for both initiatives. It might lead to something incredible. Or it could drown our message. Jared rubbed his temples, glancing up at the sky that felt increasingly stormy. The light atmosphere they just built was thickening with doubt again. I get that, Tom replied, but maybe we can use their event to amplify ours. Think of the conversations we can start. What if we added our twist to theirs? Like what, exactly? Jared crossed his arms, skeptical. What if we position ours as a breakout session within their event? We can have our stories shared there, in front of a larger audience, but still keep our heart. Our initiative could act as a catalyst for change in their gathering. Jared nearly chuckled at the absurdity of it. You want our grassroots effort to merge with something larger, more corporate, just so we can speak? But deep down, the spark of possibility was igniting within him. I know it sounds crazy, but think about it. We can promote community and authenticity where it matters most. If we do this rightly, we can make waves. What if we don't connect with their crowd? Jared pondered aloud. What if they don't want to hear us? What makes you think we matter to them? Because everyone matters, Jared. Tom replied passionately. It's the connection we're after. Sometimes you have to take a leap into unknown waters to catch the big fish. For a moment, the silence between them was almost tangible, heavy with contemplation. Could Tom be right? As Jared's heart slowed from the frenzy of thoughts, he felt a flicker of courage peeking through the cracks of uncertainty. All right, let us set up a meeting. But we go in with a plan. We won't lose our voice. Absolutely. Tom grinned, his spirit infectious. We'll lay out our vision up front and show them the value of our initiative. Let them see that it isn't about competition but collaboration. With every word, the tension began to ease. They spent the next few minutes sketching out what they would say, amplifying their strength instead of bowing to fear. Jared felt the simmering energy return, igniting with every word they exchanged. Suddenly, a notification buzzed from Tom's phone again. Oh. They want to meet tonight. Right across town. Tonight? Jared felt the familiar grip of nerves return. It was quick, too quick. Yeah. Tom nodded affirmatively. We can do this. Jared studied Tom, who looked fearless and committed. The warmth in his friend's eyes was reassuring. Okay, but if we're doing it, we need to make sure we come prepared. Knowing our core message and who we are is key. Agreed. Tom felt energized. Let's go back to the cafe and really define what we stand for. We can't let them dictate our narrative. Jared felt a mix of excitement and dread. Was he truly ready to gamble on this, to intertwine their initiative with a larger crowd? The very thought both exhilarated and terrified him. As they headed back toward the cafe, conversations buzzed around them. He could hear laughter, feel excitement in the air, like a community full of unspoken potential. He needed to imprint their message, to make sure it was loud enough to transcend the noise. Yet, deep down, a question lingered: could they truly hold on to their message amidst the clamor of larger voices? With determination etched on his face, Jared tightened his grip on his phone, feeling the weight of the night ahead. Would this meeting bring clarity or chaos? He could only hope they would find their path illuminated, no matter the outcome. As the cafe came into view, he steeled himself for what was to come, simultaneously anxious and eager. Would tonight be the night they took a step toward partnership, or would it lead to something darker? The question forced its way back into the forefront of his thoughts, spiraling into the unknown. The cafe buzzed with life as Jared and Tom pushed through the front door. The rich aroma of roasted coffee and baked pastries enveloped them, momentarily distracting Jared from his racing thoughts. They found a secluded corner table, a small oasis amidst the chatter and clinking of cups. As they sat down, he could see Tom's energy radiating. This was a meeting they needed to nail. Okay, Tom said, leaning forward eagerly, let us write down our main points. What do we want the crowd to take away? Jared grabbed a napkin and a pen, feeling the weight of the evening settling deeper into his bones. We need to highlight the community aspect, the grassroots origin. It's not just a project, Tom. It's about people, real stories and real struggles. Exactly, Tom replied, scribbling furiously. And we need to make it relatable. They have to see that we're not just here to push our agenda but to foster a conversation. Jared nodded, warming to the task. And let us mention the importance of inclusivity. If this event is about everyone, then we must stress how our voices fit into that narrative. He paused, the doubt creeping back in. What if no one cared? What if they saw them as just another group vying for attention? Could they truly convey their message to a crowd that might not want to listen? But Tom's enthusiastic gaze kept his fears at bay. We can weave in personal experiences, right? People connect through stories. Just look around. He gestured broadly at the cafe's patrons, some laughing, others deep in conversation. Jared's heart skipped as he witnessed a mother comforting her child at a nearby table. He realized that this was what they were fighting for: connection within their community. Yeah, stories are the heartbeat of what we do. They humanize our mission. They continued brainstorming, crafting their narrative while time seemed to fly. As the clock ticked down, Jared felt his initial anxiety morphing into hope. Each idea felt like a brick laid down, reinforcing their foundation. Then came a moment of silence, as Tom stared at the napkin, deep in thought. What if, he began slowly, we end with a call to action? Something uplifting that encourages people to join our cause. Jared couldn't help but smile. That's brilliant. Let them know this isn't just about us, it's about every person who feels unheard. A sudden rush of warmth flooded through Jared. This wasn't just a meeting, it was the chance to harness their vision, to pull others onto the path of change. For the first time, he could envision their initiative not just as an underdog but as a vital part of something much larger. "Okay," Tom said, looking at his watch with raised eyebrows, "we should wrap this up. We don't want to keep them waiting." As they headed out, Jared's heart raced. He could see the venue where the meeting would take place, an elegant building casting long shadows against the dimming sky. He felt a pulse of both terror and exhilaration. Would they share their message clearly? What if the executives dismissed them? With every step, doubt mingled with excitement. Tonight could either be the stepping stone to amplifying their cause or a bitter reminder of their fears. Once they reached the venue, Jared paused, taking a deep breath. The weight of uncertainty was almost overwhelming. Tom noticed him falter. "Hey, we've got this, remember? Trust in who we are." Jared nodded firmly, though his hands felt clammy. As they walked in, he looked around at the bustling crowd, a sea of faces that could either embrace or ignore them. Tom turned to him, "Whatever happens, we're in this together." And with that, they moved toward the meeting room, where a pivotal night awaited. But just as they reached the door, Jared hesitated. What if this was not just a meeting but an opportunity to ignite true change? Caught in the moment, he pushed the door open, stepping into the realm of the unknown, where everything hinged on one question: would their spark ignite a flame or flicker out before it even began? Jared's heart raced as he stepped into the meeting room, the blinding lights shining down. The atmosphere buzzed with an air of anticipation, and he could hear the low murmur of conversations. It felt larger than life, and every inch of him wanted to turn back. But he couldn't let Tom down or himself. As they found their seats at the long conference table, Jared's eyes scanned the faces of the executives gathered. They looked polished and powerful, the kind of people who could make or break their dreams with a single nod or a frown. The confidence radiating from Tom next to him was almost tangible. Jared wished he could bottle it up and drink it like a magic potion. "Remember," Tom whispered, leaning in, "we're on a mission. They need to see us as part of their world, not outsiders." Jared nodded, letting the words settle in his mind. They weren't just here to pitch an idea, they were here to become a part of a larger dialogue. The meeting began, and as the moderator welcomed everyone, Jared felt the familiar whirl of nerves in the pit of his stomach. He tried to breathe through it, focusing on the rhythm of the moderator's voice. But when Tom leaned over to him and squeezed his hand, it grounded him back in the moment. "Okay," the moderator said, glancing at his notes, "let us open the floor for our guests to share their vision." Tom stood first, heart pounding in his ears. He began to speak, his voice strong yet warm. Jared watched as the crowd leaned in, faces turning from polite interest to genuine curiosity. It was magical to see Tom effortlessly share their crafted narrative, weaving in personal stories just like they had rehearsed. The energy was palpable, and Jared felt a flicker of hope begin to light within him. Then it was Jared's turn. He took a deep breath, feeling the world around him shrink into silence. He stood, eyes wide, and faced the audience, every heartbeat echoing in his ears. "Our stories matter," he said, feeling the power of his voice rise. "They connect us. In a world that often feels disconnected, we want to remind everyone that we are more alike than different." A wave of warmth washed over him as he spoke. He shared his own experience, a tale of struggle and small victories. Jared saw nods of understanding from the audience, faces softening. Every word seemed to break a barrier, drawing them closer together. As he delved deeper into their initiative, he saw compassion reflected in the eyes of the executives. It felt like the entire room was leaning in, waiting for more. He mentioned inclusivity, the importance of every voice being heard, and for the first time, he sensed a real connection forming. When he finished, a profound silence enveloped the room. Had he made them understand? Then, a woman seated at the far end of the table, a senior executive, broke the silence. "Thank you for that powerful message. It's easy to forget that we all carry stories within us." Jared's heart soared. This wasn't just going well, it was thriving. Comments flowed from the crowd, discussions ignited. Questions popped up, inspiring ideas. Yes, they had sparked something. As the meeting progressed, the initial wave of fear faded. With each passing dialogue, they transformed from uncertain newcomers to indispensable contributors, a small but impactful force in a big room. But just as Jared was basking in the afterglow of their success, a shadow of doubt crept back. What if the conversation they were having was the only one? What if they left without real change? As the meeting drew to a close, Tom placed a hand on Jared's shoulder. No matter what, we've made an impression. But the lingering unease clawed at Jared. Was this the moment they had been waiting for, or just a beginning with no follow-through? In that moment, as the executives continued to engage, Jared knew they had to take action. They needed to cement this connection. He turned toward Tom, their eyes locking, both knowing the journey was just beginning. Let's push for more than just a conversation, Jared said, determination flooding his veins. Neither noticed the pen that fell to the floor, rolling beneath the table. It was a small symbol of the momentum shifting in their favor. But did they have the courage to chase this momentum, to turn their spark into a lasting flame? The question hung heavy in the air as they prepared to step back into the world outside, their butterflies still flitting wildly in their chests. The meeting room began to clear, but Jared and Tom lingered, exchanging glances filled with understanding. They had navigated this pivotal moment together, but now was the time to solidify their ideas into action. The energy was electric, everything felt possible. Jared, Tom said, determination etched in his voice. Now we need to follow up on this. This isn't just a thank you and goodbye. We have momentum. We have support. Jared felt his heart race again. The response had been overwhelmingly positive, he could feel it thrumming through the air. You're right. We have to keep this alive. Let's propose a collaborative workshop, something tangible where we can really engage with the community. There was a fire in Tom's eyes. Yes. This isn't just about us anymore, it's about everyone who needs to voice their stories. With each idea that surfaced, the fear began to dissipate. They could be the catalyst for change. They would create a space not just for conversations, but for action, empowerment, and healing. As they moved to leave the room, the senior executive from earlier approached. You too, she said, a smile breaking across her face. I see great potential in your initiative. Let's discuss how we can support you moving forward. Jared felt a rush of gratitude wash over him. Really? You mean it? Absolutely. There's a hunger for connection, for real stories. It's what everyone here needs more of. Her words wrapped around him, tightening as if stitching newly formed bonds of hope. They exchanged contact details, the promise of sustained dialogue lingering in the air like a sweet melody. Outside, the sun had dipped lower in the sky, casting a warm glow over the city as they stepped into the bustling streets. The chaos washed over Jared, but now it felt invigorating. Hope soared within him, he was a part of something bigger, and it resonated with purpose. Let's get to work. Tom said, infectious enthusiasm spilling out. They launched into planning potential dates for workshops, engaging local leaders, and volunteers from the community. Each suggestion blossomed into tangible actions, igniting a fresh wave of energy. As the evening began to settle, Jared took a moment to reflect. Can you believe this? He asked, glancing at Tom. Just a few days ago, I was sitting in that plane, doubting whether any of this was possible. Tom chuckled, shaking his head in disbelief. And now look at us. We've turned our frustration into a platform. This is only the beginning. Jared could feel the warmth of camaraderie blooming between them. They weren't just two guys with an idea anymore, they were momentum, they were dreams waiting to be realized. They were the embodiment of change, ready to ripple through their community. As they wrapped up their plans for the week, Jared felt an overwhelming sense of joy. It was more than mere success, it was a transformation that encompassed everything he'd fought for. His story was no longer isolated, it was intertwined with countless others. Later that night, after returning home, he found himself sitting quietly, scrolling through his phone. He stumbled upon some reactions from the meeting, a wave of support, shared ideas, and people reaching out, eager to connect. Each notification was a reminder that they were not alone on this journey. And as he lay his head on the pillow, a smile spread across his face, contentment wrapping around him like a warm blanket. The journey wasn't over. It had just begun. Jared knew that it wouldn't always be easy, but challenges only added to the richness of their cause. Rising up against discrimination meant creating lasting change. This was their moment to shine. He closed his eyes, the anticipation tingling like electricity in his veins. He was ready to share their vision and let it unfold, thread by thread. And in perfect harmony, both Jared and Tom declared it together, "Let us change the narrative." Those words echoed deep within him as he drifted off to sleep. A sense of purpose washed over him, knowing that tomorrow would bring new beginnings, and with every step, they would push against the tide of prejudice, striving for a brighter future where every voice could resonate. Now, as you've reached the end of this incredible journey, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories that illuminate transformation and courage. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support for these powerful narratives. It's your turn. Comment with your reactions and feelings about this ending that can truly inspire change. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Your support matters.